In early July 2025, Syria plunged into one of its most volatile moments in years. At the center, a rare uprising in the Druze majority city of Suwayda, Israeli airstrikes near Damascus, and a harsh crackdown by Assad's regime, turning a localized protest into a multi-front crisis. On July 10th, Syrian forces opened fire on demonstrators in Suwayda, where Druze elders had organized mass sit-ins against conscription and corruption. Clashes escalated quickly when regime tanks rolled into city outskirts. In response, armed Druze militias attacked military checkpoints, seizing control of several key junctions, marking the first time since 2011 that an ethnic minority has openly fought Assad's military. That same night, Israeli jets struck an Iranian weapons depot near Damascus International Airport, killing 12, including IRGC officers, according to UK-based monitoring groups. Israel said it was responding to attempted drone launches from Syrian territory. The timing of both incidents is no coincidence. Syrian air defenses, overstretched by the domestic rebellion, failed to respond to Israeli strikes, exposing vulnerabilities in Assad's security apparatus. Meanwhile, Russian aircraft were seen circling Suwayda but did not intervene, signaling Moscow's intent to avoid new entanglements. As of July 16th, Suwayda remains cut off, with mobile internet blacked out and regime artillery shelling rebel-held neighborhoods. UN observers confirmed at least 86 dead, mostly civilians, and warned of a deteriorating humanitarian situation. This is not just a flashpoint, it's a reckoning. Syria's internal fault lines, long buried beneath Assad's iron grip, are erupting again. And with foreign powers involved, the conflict risks spiraling into a regional proxy standoff. Suwayda has always stood apart in Syria's civil war. Predominantly Druze, a minority sect making up 3% of the population, the province never fully aligned with the Assad regime nor joined the Sunni-led opposition. Instead, it carved a quiet neutrality, avoiding large-scale bloodshed even at the war's peak. But that fragile bargain unraveled this year. In May 2025, the Syrian government issued a new mandatory conscription order, targeting minority youth for service in pro-Iranian militias. Druze leaders pushed back, citing historical agreements with Damascus allowing local autonomy. Protests began small, mainly sit-ins outside municipal offices, but ballooned in late June as economic conditions worsened and fuel shortages spread across the south. At the heart of the revolt is deep-rooted resentment. Locals accuse Assad's intelligence forces of smuggling fuel and drugs across the Jordanian border, while ordinary citizens face daily blackouts and breadlines. The tipping point came when government security forces abducted a respected Druze cleric, widely seen as a breach of a decades-old power-sharing pact. Unlike past protests, this one is different. Armed groups like Rijal al-Karama, Men of Dignity, have emerged as protectors of the community. They're not aligned with outside powers, and their demands are local, not ideological. Release detainees, stop forced conscription, and let Suwayda govern itself. This localized movement is now intersecting with international fault lines. Iran-backed militias have reinforced nearby Dara. Israel sees this instability as an opportunity to strike Iranian weapons stockpiles. And Jordan, fearing spillover, has quietly deployed tanks near its northern border. Suwayda's revolt is a reminder. Syria may be off the global front pages, but its internal fractures are still burning. And when those cracks widen, they pull in far more than just local actors. The reaction to Syria's renewed unrest has been fractured but fast, with regional and global powers scrambling to stake their positions. In the West, the United States condemned Assad's crackdown but stopped short of direct intervention. A State Department statement called on Damascus to respect minority rights, while France requested a closed-door UN Security Council briefing. No binding resolution was passed, as Russia vetoed a condemnation draft. Israel, meanwhile, made no official comment on its airstrikes, but emphasized it will not allow Iranian entrenchment in Syria. Israeli Defense Forces released a video showing guided missile launches from F-16s over the Golan Heights, implicitly warning both Iran and Assad. Iran vowed retaliation for the death of IRGC officers. Hezbollah sources leaked that reinforcements are moving towards southern Syria, and local reports indicate fresh deployments in Suwayda's eastern hills. Tehran now frames the conflict as a Zionist-assisted rebellion, raising fears of a broader regional confrontation. Russia's silence has been more telling than words. While Russian aircraft flew sorties over rebel zones, they did not engage. Kremlin-linked media focused instead on Western meddling, suggesting Moscow may be distancing itself from costly defense of Assad's shrinking authority. Back home, Syrians are divided. In Damascus, regime loyalists held rallies blaming foreign agents. But in Suwayda and surrounding provinces, support for the Druze uprising has swelled. Civilian WhatsApp groups shared footage of militias guarding bakeries and escorting ambulances. Even in Lebanon and Jordan, solidarity protests erupted, especially among Druze communities. Regional fault lines are reawakening. The reaction across capitals, air bases, and refugee camps shows this is no local skirmish. It's a test of who still has sway in Syria, and who's willing to fight for it. This latest Syrian unrest is triggering 4 key ripple effects across the Middle East. #1. Jordan's border crisis. As fighting intensifies, thousands are fleeing Suwayda toward the Jordanian border. Amman has closed unofficial crossings and deployed its 3RD armored brigade to prevent spillover, citing fears of infiltration by Iran-backed militias and drug traffickers. Refugee intake centers are overflowing, reviving memories of the 2013 influx. #2. Israeli-Iranian escalation. The airstrikes mark the third Israeli incursion in 2 weeks, suggesting a strategic window opened by Assad's distraction. Israeli analysts believe Iran may shift arms routes away from Damascus to Homs or Aleppo, where air defenses are weaker. This change risks drawing Israel deeper into Syrian airspace. #3. Druze mobilization beyond Syria. In Lebanon's Chuf region and Israel's Golan Heights, Druze youth are organizing protests and relief campaigns, pushing governments to support Suwayda's autonomy demands. Some analysts fear foreign fighters could try to cross borders to aid their Syrian kin, complicating regional security. #4. Assad's authority undermined. If Assad cannot retake Suwayda swiftly, it sends a message to other semi-autonomous zones, like Qamishli in the northeast, that local governance might be sustainable without central control. This could inspire renewed resistance in Kurdish and Sunni areas. Each of these consequences deepens the region's volatility. What began as a localized uprising is now shaking military deployments, refugee policies, sectarian ties, and geopolitical red lines. The Syria file, long considered managed, is suddenly wide open again. The events in Suwayda this July pose an uncomfortable question for Syria's rulers and the region's powers. Is the centralized Syrian state still viable? After 13 years of war, Syria is already functionally fragmented. Assad controls the west and south. The Kurdish SDF holds the northeast. Turkish-backed rebels run parts of Idlib, and Iranian militias patrol the central deserts. Suwayda's rebellion adds a new layer. A community seeking local dignity, not national revolution. If Assad reclaims Suwayda by force, the regime may retain territory but lose legitimacy. If he fails, others may follow suit, especially in regions where resentment still simmers. This is why foreign players are watching closely. Syria's shape is not just a matter of borders, but of influence. For the Druze, this moment is existential. Long caught between loyalty and repression, they're now charting a third path, community self-rule. Whether it succeeds or is crushed, it reopens debates about how multi-sect Syria can be governed, by force, by federation, or by fracture. For ordinary Syrians, the fear is déjà vu. Images of flattened buildings, breadlines, and blackout zones feel too familiar. But there's also a flicker of possibility. Some analysts say this is Syria's municipal moment, where localities may lead governance reforms if the center keeps faltering. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or a footnote depends on what happens next in Suwayda. But one thing is clear, Syria's crisis isn't over, it's evolving. And this summer could be the season when the map of influence inside the country starts redrawing itself.